All right, so you ready to explore something pretty creepy? I think you're going to find this really interesting. We're going to talk about dark empaths. We talk a lot about those dark triad types like narcissists and, Machiavellians. Well, dark empaths, they're kind of like their sneakier cousins. It's like they have this superpower, but it's gone wrong. They feel your emotions, they get your deepest, vulnerabilities. But instead of using that power, for good, they totally weaponize it for their own benefit.
It really is true. What makes them so dangerous is they can really fly under the radar. Think about it. Like someone with those classic dark triad traits, they might just come across as cold or even aggressive. That makes their intentions a little more obvious. But a dark empath, no. They're often charming, sociable. They're the life of the party even. They draw you in, they make you feel understood. And all the while, they're studying you, figuring out your weaknesses, your hopes, even your fears,
Okay, so that is absolutely terrifying. But I am hooked, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are they so much more dangerous? I mean, we've all got that friend who can guilt trip us into helping them move or whatever. But is that really the same thing?
That's a good question, and it leads us right into the first big danger of dark empaths. They're masters of blending in. They don't fit that, evil mastermind lurking in the shadows stereotype. No, they're often the ones you least suspect. They seem so genuinely caring, But remember that empathy they display, well, it's not genuine. It's a tool, a weapon they use to manipulate and control.
So it's not just about getting you to do the dishes. It's about having, power over you.
Exactly. And unlike someone who just throws a casual guilt trip your way, dark empaths are strategic and relentless. They often hone their skills from a very young age, starting with family members, then moving on to friends, and then romantic partners even. Think of it as a twisted apprenticeship in manipulation.
Wait, so they actually practice manipulating people? That is chilling.
It is, and it highlights another danger of dark empaths. They're so good at identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities. They see your insecurities, your anxieties, and they just file it all away for future use. They might notice you constantly apologize or, you downplay your accomplishments, which are both classic signs of low self-esteem. And they exploit that to make you feel indebted to them.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like they're building a dossier on you. But instead of, blackmail material, it's your emotional weak spots.
That is a great way to put it. And as they gather this information, well, they start to tailor their manipulation tactics, becoming experts at pushing your buttons. They might use guilt trips, subtle threats. They might even play the victim to get you to do what they want.
Okay, so we've got the charming facade and the master manipulator skills. What else makes them so dangerous? Give me the next terrifying detail.
Well, the third big danger is that they specifically prey on the vulnerable. While they might enjoy the challenge of manipulating a strong-willed person, their primary targets are often individuals who are lonely or insecure or maybe just craving connection. These are people who might be more easily swayed by charm and promises of friendship or even love.
So they're emotional predators, seeking out the easiest prey.
That is a powerful but accurate analogy, and this is where it gets even more disturbing. They're incredibly patient. They're willing to invest the time and the energy into gaining your trust, making you feel special, almost like you found your soulmate. All the while, they're slowly weaving their web of manipulation around you.
So it's like they're setting a trap, baiting it with all the things you've been longing for. But once you're caught, it's impossible to break free.
You're exactly right. They'll often present themselves as the perfect partner, the attentive friend showering you with compliments, gifts. But beneath that surface-level charm, well, there are subtle digs, backhanded compliments, maybe even jokes at your expense, all designed to erode your self-esteem and make you more dependent on them.
Hold on, back up a second. Jokes at your expense. So it's not always this obvious, over-the-top manipulation. It can be really subtle.
That's what makes it so insidious. They're experts at disguised manipulation, making you question your own perceptions, They might make a snide comment about your outfit. Then they follow it up with, oh, but I love your sense of humor. You don't take anything too seriously. It's a constant push and pull, a cycle of building you up just to tear you down.
Okay, that is messed up.
Right.
I mean, how do you even recognize that when it's happening? It's like they're playing some kind of twisted mind game.
And that brings us to the fourth and final danger. They're masters of the weaponized guilt trip. This is where that dark empathy comes into play. They know exactly which buttons to push, which insecurities to exploit to make you feel like the absolute worst person if you don't comply with their demands.
So if you try to set boundaries, if you say no to something, They make you feel like you've committed some unforgivable sin.
Exactly. Let's say you finally work up the courage to call them out on their behavior. They might burst into tears, make you feel guilty for attacking them when they're so sensitive. Or they might accuse you of being selfish, of not understanding their complexities, all while never actually taking responsibility for their actions.
Whoa, okay. I think I need a minute to process all of this. It's like they're twisting reality, making you doubt your own sanity. Is there a word for that?
There is. It's called gaslighting. It's a form of psychological manipulation where someone makes you question your own memories, your own perception of reality, and dark empaths are masters of it.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So we've got the charm, the manipulative skills, the preying on the vulnerable, and the weaponized guilt trips. Is there any hope? Can we protect ourselves from these emotional predators?
There is. And the first step is understanding how they operate.
Knowledge is power, right. But how do we actually spot them before it's too late?
That's where we'll pick up next time. Get ready for some serious red flag detection. Exactly. Knowledge is power when it comes to these dark empaths. The more we understand their tactics, the better we are at spotting them.
Okay, I'm ready. So let's talk red flags. What are some signs that someone might be a dark empath? I don't want to go around, suspecting everyone, but I also don't want to be someone's emotional puppet.
That's understandable. And remember, these are just potential indicators, not a sure diagnosis, Always consider the whole picture. But one of the biggest red flags is inconsistent behavior. Their words and actions often don't match up. They might shower you with compliments one minute and then make a subtle, hurtful joke the next. Or they might promise to help you with something important and then just forget when it's time to actually help.
So they're all talk and no action, but in a way that's hard to pin down.
Exactly. It keeps you off balance, makes you question your own perception. Another thing to watch for is how they react when you set boundaries. Let's say you decline their invitation to hang out because you need some time alone. A healthy person would respect that. But a dark empath might try to guilt you or make you feel bad or even try to manipulate you into changing your mind.
So they have a hard time accepting no for an answer.
Absolutely. Control is everything for dark empaths. They need to feel in charge of the situation, including your emotions and your decisions. And here's a big one: how they talk about other people. Do they gossip a lot, put others down, or play the victim?
Oh, that's interesting. So they're not just manipulating you, they're doing it to everyone around them.
Exactly. Manipulation is a pattern. It's not just an isolated incident. If someone is constantly using these tactics, it's a big red flag. Another thing to look at is their level of empathy. It might sound a little counterintuitive, but sometimes their empathy can feel too intense, too over the top,
Wait, I thought empathy was supposed to be a good thing.
It is, in its genuine form, but with dark empaths, empathy can be performative, almost like they're putting on a show to gain your trust. They might mirror your emotions, say all the right things, but you never feel a real connection.
So it's like they're reading from a script.
Exactly. It just feels insincere, even manipulative. And this isn't an exhaustive list, by the way. There are lots of other red flags, like isolating you from your friends and family, a need for constant validation, and blaming others for their problems.
This is a lot to take in. So let's say you've spotted some of these red flags and you think you're dealing with a dark empath. What then? What do you do? Can you change them?
Unfortunately, changing someone with such, ingrained personality traits is really tough. And trying to change them can be emotionally draining, even dangerous. Remember, they are skilled manipulators, and they can turn your attempts to help them right back around on you.
So trying to fix them is a bad idea.
It's not usually productive, no. Instead, you should focus on protecting yourself, and that starts with setting strong boundaries.
Okay, so boundary setting 101. What does that actually look like with a dark empath?
Well, first of all, be really clear about what you will and will not tolerate. For example, if they make a hurtful comment, call them out. Don't let it slide.
That's easier said than done, especially if they, start playing the victim.
Or guilt-tripping you.
It can be tough, but you have the right to protect yourself, Practice saying no to unreasonable demands. And don't feel like you have to explain yourself or justify your boundaries.
So basically, stand your ground.
Exactly. And here's something crucial. Limit their access to your vulnerabilities. Be careful about what personal information you share, because they might use it against you later.
So treat them with caution, like a wild animal.
Not a bad analogy. It's about protecting yourself, but without engaging in their games.
Okay, so what if you've tried setting boundaries and it's not working? What if they just keep pushing and pushing?
Then you have to consider if this relationship is really good for you.
You mean cut ties completely?
Sometimes that's the healthiest choice, yeah, even if it's painful. You deserve to be in relationships that are based on mutual respect and trust and genuine care, not manipulation and control.
That's powerful. Okay, but what if it's someone you can't just avoid, like a family member or a coworker? That's where it gets tricky. But you can still protect yourself by minimizing your interactions. Keep conversations brief and surface level, and don't get drawn into their emotional dramas.
So keep them at arm's length.
Exactly. And remember, you are not obligated to change them or fix them, Their behavior is their responsibility, not yours.
This is all so insightful. There's one thing I'm still wondering about, though. We've talked about how dark empaths often target vulnerable people. But could they also target someone who is generally strong and confident? It's interesting you say that, because I was just thinking we've talked about how dark empaths often target vulnerable people, but could they also target someone who is generally strong and confident?
That's a great question, and it really shows how cunning these dark empaths can be. They might typically prefer easier targets, but they can see a strong, confident person as a challenge, almost like a prize to be won,
So it's a game for them to see if they can break someone who seems unbreakable.
Exactly. They see it as the ultimate test of their manipulation skills. And their tactics in those cases can be even more subtle and insidious. Instead of focusing on weaknesses, they might start by mirroring the person's strengths and interests, creating a sense of depth, connection, and understanding. They'll give lots of praise and admiration, feeding their ego, making them feel truly special.
So they're like disarming them with kindness, lulling them into a false sense of security.
Precisely. And they might even subtly undermine the person's other relationships, like with their friends or family. Sowing seeds of doubt about those people, they'll position themselves as the only one who truly gets them. And that creates a sense of dependence and isolation.
Wow, that is devious. It's like they're slowly poisoning the well, making the person question everyone else in their life.
And once they've got that foothold, they can start adding subtle criticisms or challenges, disguised as helpful advice or constructive feedback, They might question the person's decisions, plant seeds of self-doubt, all under the guise of caring. The goal is to chip away at their confidence, making them second-guess themselves, and then ultimately become more reliant on the dark empath for validation.
Okay, so it's a long game for them. They're not going for that quick manipulation. They're trying to undermine the person's entire foundation.
Exactly. And the scary part is that it can be so gradual, so subtle, that the person might not even realize what's happening until they're already deeply entangled. They might feel confused, exhausted, like they're losing their grip on reality. And guess who's there to offer comfort and support? The dark empath, of course.
Like a spider slowly weaving its web around a fly, tightening its grip until there's no escape.
That's a really powerful image. And it shows just how important self-awareness and critical thinking are in all our relationships. We have to be able to recognize those signs of manipulation, even when they're disguised as kindness or concern.
So what's the takeaway here? How can we protect ourselves and the people we care about from these dark empaths?
First and foremost, trust your gut. If someone makes you feel uncomfortable or uneasy, even if you don't know exactly why, pay attention to that feeling. Don't dismiss it.
And those red flags we talked about earlier, take them seriously.
Absolutely. And remember, you have the right to set boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. You don't have to tolerate anyone, no matter how charming they are or how empathetic they seem, who treats you poorly or manipulates you for their own gain.
It all comes back to boundaries, right? Knowing your worth and not letting anyone cross those lines.
Exactly. And knowledge is power. The more we understand about dark empathy, the better we can recognize it and protect ourselves and the people we care about.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into the world of dark empaths. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on human behavior now.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, if you think someone you know might have some of these dark empath traits, don't hesitate to reach out for professional help, like from a therapist who specializes in personality disorders.
That's a great reminder. And for our listeners, here's something to think about. Could someone close to you have dark empath traits? What subtle signs might you look for in your own relationships?
It's worth taking some time to reflect on everything we've talked about today and observe your own social circles with this new awareness. You might be surprised by what you see.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered.